U.S. Presidents, Andrew Jackson. Buried works. Andrew Jackson was the 7th President of the United States. He was also the first president to be born in a log cabin. He grew up on the frontier of the Carolinas. His parents were a poor farm couple from Northern Ireland. Jackson's father died before he was born. His mother died when Jackson was 14 years old, leaving him an orphan. Despite Jackson's difficult childhood, he eventually moved to Tennessee and became a lawyer and landowner. Jackson was nicknamed Old Hickory because of his toughness. He became famous for his skill as a general in the War of 1812. But his resilience was apparent years earlier when he served his country during the Revolutionary War. 13-year-old Jackson and his younger brother were captured by the British. When a British commander ordered Jackson to scrub his boots, he refused. He argued he had rights as a prisoner of war. The commander got angry and lashed out with his sword. Jackson tried to protect himself with his arms. Jackson's hand was cut to the bone, and he suffered a gash to the head. Soon after, Jackson and his brother were forced to march 40 miles to a military prison. Both of them contracted smallpox in prison. Jackson survived, but his brother was not so fortunate. Eventually, Jackson's mother arranged for his freedom. Tragically, she died soon after. "I felt utterly alone," Jackson said years later about losing his family. Jackson stayed active in the military until he reached the age of 54. Although he was not interested, his friends nominated him for president. Leading up to the election, Jackson promised to represent America's common man. His promises appealed to many, and he was elected president. He was a founder of the Democratic Party, and he also supported efforts to give workers more rights. Although Jackson was liked by many Americans, his legacy is not devoid of controversy. Jackson is notorious for his support of the forceful and harsh removal of Native American tribes from their lands. In May of 1830, he signed into law the Indian Removal Act, which authorized the removal of Native Americans from their lands within existing state borders. This land was then taken over by the United States government. As a result of this removal policy, 15,000 Cherokee Native Americans were displaced. 4,000 out of the 15,000 Cherokee people died due to the hunger, exhaustion, and disease they faced on their forced march from their lands to present-day Oklahoma. Despite Jackson's incredible mistreatment of the Cherokee, he is also remembered as a champion of American workers and individual liberty. Jackson served as president for 2 terms from 1829 to 1837. He died in June of 1845 in Tennessee.